Good Sunday morning, everyone, or happy Sunday, depending on what time you're watching this. I'm 13 News Now meteorologist Rochelle Peart with your morning update on the Atlantic tropics for October 25th, 2020. Here's a look at those tropical headlines in case you missed it. Zeta, we officially have Tropical Storm Zeta that formed with a 2 a.m. advisory on Sunday morning. We're also looking at that another record broken for the 2020 season with Zeta's formation, and Epsilon will eventually become a strong post-tropical system as it moves over the northern Atlantic. Here's a look at the tropics right now. There's a look at Zeta in the western Caribbean, and then Hurricane Epsilon moving into the northern Atlantic, zooming into the northern Atlantic. That storm is moving quite fast, especially when you compare the movement of Epsilon to the movement of Zeta, and we'll take a look at how fast Epsilon is moving in just a second, but for Zeta, it's not moving at all. With the 5 a.m. advisory, it was crawling at 1 mile an hour. Before that, it was stationary, and now it's stationary again. We have those winds at 40 miles an hour with Tropical Storm Zeta, pressure at 1,005 millibars. So as mentioned, we've broken another record as far as earliest named storms go with this 2020 season. Zeta is the 27th named storm in the Atlantic hurricane season and the earliest 27th named storm on record. The previous record, November 29th, 2005. So we beat that by over a month. Now let's take a look at some of the tropical statistics. You do see number of named storms per year. This peak here, that's obviously 2005. And once we add 2020, we'll either be close to or above that. The record number of named storms in a season was 28 back in 2005. Currently, we have 27 with over a month to go in the official hurricane season. Back in 2005, they did have storms form after November 30th, so we'll continue to see how things shape up for the rest of the 2020 official season and if anything forms after the season officially ends. Here's another look at tropical satellite. This is with, of course, Tropical Storm Zeta. You can see the Yucatan Peninsula here. We have Cuba, Central America, Honduras, and we're also looking toward areas of Belize as well. So you can see quite a bit of thunderstorm activity. You're seeing the whites, the purples, that's indicating very, very high cloud tops, very tall thunderstorms within that tropical system. So again, lots of activity happening within Zeta. As we change the view here, we're going to look actually at the sea surface temperatures in the area that Zeta is eventually going to be moving in. You do see these very deep reds, these dark burgundies, that's indicating upper 80s for those sea surface temperatures. And tropical systems, they only need 80 degrees to sustain life or even to strengthen. So Zeta's got the juice, not even just in the western Caribbean Sea, but as we head into the southern parts of the Gulf of Mexico, you're still seeing, you see 88 degrees there, 85, even into northern central parts of the Gulf of Mexico, mid 80s. So this storm will sustain itself, but it does look like it could actually move overland, which could weaken it just a bit. I'll show you the track coming up in just a moment. Looking at the wind shear right now, not encountering any wind shear where the storm is right now, but into the Gulf of Mexico, there is a little bit of some unfavorable shear, which could mess with Zeta as it moves into parts of the Gulf before making landfall along the Gulf Coast. So here's the latest on Zeta. Again, stationary 40-mile-an-hour winds. There's actually a hurricane watch for parts of the Yucatan Peninsula, and we do have some tropical storm alerts in parts of western Cuba. Putting a movement to the track here, you do see that storm continuing to strengthen. It will become our next hurricane. As mentioned, it could make landfall on the Yucatan, which could impact the strengthening of that storm just a bit. But we also do have the SHEAR in the Gulf of Mexico that could impact that storm as well. So you do see it by Tuesday, somewhere around 80 miles an hour, possibly weakening as we move into the early morning hours of Wednesday. And then we're seeing some sort of landfall along the Gulf Coast. These Gulf Coast states are on alert once again. We're looking at Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and even far western parts of Florida as well. And you see with that last update coming in, the red behind this icon here, that's that hurricane watch in place for the Yucatan Peninsula, which just came down with that 8 a.m. advisory. And city of New Orleans, Biloxi, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama, all included in this cone of uncertainty right now. And of course, we'll continue to watch as things change and shift over the next couple of days with the track of Zeta. So here's a look at Hurricane Epsilon. We're seeing this extremely sheared storm. You're seeing a lot of that cloud coverage with Epsilon on the north side of that system, but you can still see that counterclockwise rotation as it moves south of extreme eastern parts of Canada into the northern Atlantic. And as we go back here, I do want to at least show you the sea surface temperatures. You're seeing these warm waters down here, but you do see that gradual change into those cooler colors indicating cooler waters, and Epsilon is expected to lose its tropical characteristics as we move into the later parts of today, and then eventually continuing with being post-tropical into the day Monday and eventually fizzling out over the far northern Atlantic. And you do see this storm is moving at a pretty good clip, 30 miles an hour. That's why I said this thing was speeding into the northern Atlantic. Now, earlier in its lifetime, Epsilon was the fourth major hurricane of the 2020 Atlantic season, peaking at 115 miles an hour. Something you're not noticing here is a Category 5 hurricane. We have not had that so far this season. And when we look at tropical stats for major hurricanes, you do see that we've had 4, which is above the 30-year average of 3. CSU did make a forecast of 5 major hurricanes, and the record is 8, which was actually set back in 1950. And I mentioned Category 5 hurricanes and how we haven't seen one yet this season, but from 2016 to 2019, that's the longest stretch of hurricane seasons in the Atlantic with at least one Category 5 hurricane. So again, continuing to watch and see what 2020 tries to bring for the last few weeks of the official hurricane season. So taking a look at the graph, we have obviously passed that peak of September 10th, middle of September time frame that we have already passed, and we saw quite a few storms during that time. We had a record number of named systems in the Atlantic basin right around that time frame. The season will officially end on November 30th, but you do see as we head into December, there still can be a little bit of activity. So as mentioned a little bit earlier, that I said that 2005 we had some storms that did develop after that season officially ended. So again, we still have more to watch. Here's where we are as far as the Greek alphabet names go. We have Tropical Storm Zeta. The next couple of names are Eta and Theta. And when we looked at 2005, Zeta was the last name used on that list, and we still have time. So we will surpass that most likely as we move into the later parts of the hurricane season. So I do want to thank you for watching this update here at 13 News Now. We are based in southeastern Virginia, and we cover coastal Virginia and North Carolina as well. If you're interested, here's where you can find me on social media. But be sure to subscribe to 13 News Now and follow us across social media for more tropical updates, not just for the rest of this season, but for every season that's coming.